How about you guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 career, episode number 93 today for the French Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous one, the Canadian GP, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Unfortunately, I wanted to have this episode out actually probably 2 days earlier than I'm getting to upload it, but of course, with the major issues with my channel at the end of last week, we've had to wait 3 days till this next episode, but hopefully it wasn't too long of a wait for you guys. But we're back now with the career mode at the French GP. We've got one failure on the upgrades here, so we've got our energy recovery system upgrade, but the fuel consumption not so much. So the fuel will still be a bit of a kind. We're going to have to play around with that a little bit and maybe save some later on in the race. We're not fully at that point yet where the engine can just run in standard and rich mix the entire race, unfortunately, yet. But the ERS is getting there to the point where we can run hot lap mode and overtake pretty much most laps here in the Grand Prix, which is obviously great for us because it means we can attack. And because as of late we haven't been too great in qualifying still. That's still the biggest issue with our car. It seems the race pace seems fantastic. Both me and Russell really. Russell's got unlucky being held up in traffic, but the race pace seems to be there. Of course, we've made the most of that, and also the luck we've had so far this season being very lofty in P4. But going to this weekend then with only one minor upgrade, all the other teams seem to be converging on each other a little bit, but we've actually maybe lost a bit of potential on the R&D graph to the kind of next team up there. But I still think it's going to be a strong Grand Prix. The French GP, I wouldn't say it's exactly similar to Canada, but I think there's some characteristics with this setup that will be very similar, so I think our car should go well. We had some really decent race pace at Canada. Of course, it was a bit of a different race with a lot of rain involved as well, whereas I think this is going to be a completely dry weekend, but I still think we can have a decent one here around Paul Ricard. So let's go to Saturday and just see what we can do in qualifying first.
The circuit has rubbed it in with practice, but this is still a difficult session as our drivers fight for pole position. Welcome to qualifying for the French Grand Prix. Looking at this field today, Anthony, do you think we're going to see anyone take a chance? Maybe run the hard tyres and save some of the grippier tyres for the race tomorrow?
Well, I'd be surprised in all honesty. It's only the front runners that really have the pace to get away with that. And even then, at the end of the day, it's a big risk. Track position is the most important thing, and it's rarely worth sacrificing for a slightly more optimal strategy in the race, so I doubt we're going to see anyone trying it. I have been wrong before though. We certainly do see some risky decisions every now and then, and it's a gamble that's sometimes worth taking. But if it were me in the car, I would want to be on the fastest tyre for my qualifying lap, without a doubt.
So we move through into Q1 then to kick off Saturday, the end of our first flying lap here, going through the last corner. A bit of understeer there with the car, trying to get to grips with it really. The front end definitely lacking a little bit of bite, but I don't want to compromise the wings too much on the aero, because obviously we've got the long back straight, which is such a great place to overtake it, especially with the F1 game at the French GP, so I didn't really want to compromise that. So I've gone with the same wings we actually went, well, I went with the wings I usually would go for the Canadian GP, which is 5.5, but obviously last episode I did compromise for the rain, whereas this time there's no rain to be seen this weekend. And so we go ahead, you can see there we quickly went through 2 other flying laps to eventually get through into Q2, but it's close stuff there, P15 only, so I was quite close to the drop zone there. It took us 2 different sets of soft tyres. The second set I went for 2 consecutive laps, so we only have, that means 1 set of soft tyres left over for Q2, unfortunately, because it took me those 2 brand new sets in Q1. So we're now at the end of Q2 then. You can see about 2 minutes to go, under 2 minutes to go, and this is my one and only flyer, because obviously there's no point really using the other sets, because those are all worn tyres, and of course if I was to make it through into Q3 I would have to start on that set of tyres, so not going to give it a chance. Just going to go with this one flyer. Decent first sector, I guess, nice and tidy, and not too much understeer actually in that in those corners. But we're gaining now on the Racing Point car, who I thought was going to give me a tow there and just continue on, but looks like he's on an outlap there, so he slowed down so much in the brakes and that really put me off in the braking zone. So I think that maybe lost me 1 or 2 tenths potentially as we go through now across the line. P12 it is then in the end. I believe Russell's ahead of us, and yeah, it is by the end of the session. We're P13 then, and Russell finishes up in P11, so he was actually quite close to making it through into the top 10 shootout. I was a little bit slower than him, not by too much though, but you can see that's how close the season is and how close everyone is, that you can only lose like 1 or 2 tenths and you're like, you know, back by 2 positions. So P13, I'll take it. A bit disappointed we couldn't match Russell or beat him yet again, but I mean, to be fair, at the start of the season he was actually faster than us in qualifying, so that's not too bad. But this shows actually positive signs. It shows that our car as a whole is getting better and closer to the guys, you know, in reality. You know, forget the R&D chart. Right now, Russell P11, me P13. It's the first time really both of us being right up there, whereas it's usually always been me dragging the car up or both of us just being at the back there. So I think positive signs there. Obviously, we know the car gets better in the race. It's been a fantastic characteristic of this car. So looking forward to hopefully a double points paying position really, maybe for the GP. So let's go to Sunday.
Welcome to Le Castellet as we return from across the Atlantic for the 2019 French Grand Prix. reintroduced to the Formula One calendar just last year after an absence of almost 3 decades. The circuit, Paul Ricard, where racing legends such as Alain Prost gave us some Turn 1 excitement before Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel and a commanding victory from Lewis Hamilton gave us a brilliant race last year. What, I wonder, will it have in store for us this season? The circuit Paul Ricard then, a 3.6 mile track, 25 miles east of Marseille. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, with the main overtaking chance expected going into turn 8. Top speeds today should be around 205 miles per hour. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc? Looks like they've got a tough race in store today as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Devon Butler, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Weber, Pierre Gasly and Perez, Grosjean, Norris, Russell and Daniel Kvyat. The engineer, Hülkenberg, Valtteri Bottas and Verstappen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Giovinazzi, Vettel, Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll. Raikkonen and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So because myself and Russell obviously are outside the top 10, we get a free choice of tyres. So we're going to go for the one-stop strategy, but the more kind of convenient one for us being the medium to the hard tyres. I feel like there may be majority trying a one-stop anyway from the soft to the hards, but there might be the odd one out that does a two-stop, and those are the cars we're hoping to catch out with the one-stop maybe, and hopefully maybe just other people ahead of us get caught in traffic basically whilst they're fighting each other on the softs. Their tyres wear out a bit more than us, and we're able to maybe run in free air and get some positions that way basically. But we won't really know where we're going to be till the end of the Grand Prix. It always kind of happens at Paul Ricard. It's a very kind of long, strung out one strategically always at this GP. But looking forward to them from P13 and 11. I think both of us can get in the points here comfortably, I think, with the race pace, hopefully. So here we go then. It's a 5 red lights for the French GP here at Paul Ricard. Fire lights are out and we're underway. Initially good start, but then bogging down quite a fair bit in the second gear. And the Racing Point shooting up on the right there. Gets held up though by the Alfa Romeo into turn 1. We're going to send it to the inside to get that position back into P11. We go with a lock-up on the front left there. Hülkenberg sent wide and Russell makes a good move on Daniel Kvyat. Can we maybe get one of them who's going to try and sail around the outside? A lock-up on the right-hand side tyre then, but this time it works out again and we're able to get up into P10. So a great start actually overall after initially bogging down. P9 and P10 from 11-13. I'll very much take that. And now we're right behind our teammate then. It's a lovely little move that was on the outside of Kvyat. But now we settle down and try and gain some more positions if we can in the latter stages of this stint. Lap number 2 and already there's a bit of a domino effect. You can see there, massive train ahead of us there in the top 10, and that's allowing me to close up and stay with Russell, although we need to watch out for the engine temps and also go down to standard mixture to make sure they are cool enough. But you can see purple lap time there, so fast up the Grand Prix on lap number 2 shows you just how much everyone ahead of us was being slowed down basically by each other being in that train of fighting. And ahead of us now on the next lap, Russell makes a move on Devon Butler then to get that position on the Red Bull. Can we try and join him and maybe get the Red Bull in the next lap or two? But Russell showing the car has some decent pace and he's making some movements there and showing maybe why he beat me in qualifying there, showing a little bit more pace straight away in this Grand Prix. Was it taking me a little bit while to settle down because we're now on lap number 5 then, so that's 2-3 laps later and we're still behind Devon Butler, but he might just be sizing up a move on Russell because you can see there's a bit of a gap ahead of Russell. So Russell does not have DRS off anyone. Butler does. Yellow flags behind us for a car with a issue there, mechanical failure. But here goes Butler now for a move on the right-hand side. We're just going to have to be very patient. Russell with a massive lock up there. He's on the outside. He's going to have the worst line compared to Butler. He'll be able to get the power down earlier. But here we go then. We get a bit of a catapult off that corner. We get the toe off Butler. We've already made the move on Russell. So it's a double pass in the span of one straight up into P8 then through the flat-out right-hander. So, you know, patience was a virtue there for us. Just taking it nice and easy into the chicane and set the move up basically after that on the run into sector 3. And now behind us, this is on the next lap then. Russell had a look on the inside of Butler. Didn't make it actually work, but can he get a good enough exit here? Maybe up into overtake mode, you would imagine, and Rich Mix. He's gaining on the Red Bull. Can he pull out and make the move? He's going to go for it there, and he will just about make it through. Hard to tell with that angle, really, straight on of how alongside he was, but he makes it work. Really nice pass there, and so similar sort of thing for me, you know. It seems like our Ferrari car is actually better off that chicane rather than into it off the back straight, and so both of us up the positions, and now on to lap number 8. We're actually up into P4 and 5 respectively, as we've got some early people in the pit stops there from their soft tyres. So like I said, those guys running softs, hopefully their tyres wear out quite a fair bit, and we can make gains here. But into turn 1, you saw there, bit of a snap of oversteer as my rear end snaked about, and Russell has a look to the inside. We squeeze him on the right. It's oh so close margins there. Lock up on the front right. Had to give him some sort of space there, and we make it work to hold the position for now. But for how much longer? Because he's looking pretty damn punchy here, and he's looking like he wants to re-overtake myself. So we come through a little bit wide on that right hander. They're trying to get the power down as early as we can. But of course, now I do know how DRS. Russell does. I've got overtake mode to help me, but he's coming at me at a rate of knots. Will he go to the inside? I'm going to stick on the right hand side here and not defend it too much, as I want the inside line for the next corner. He has a little look, but we do maintain the position there. He has to stick behind us, but he actually gets a great exit here as I get a massive bit of oversteer there. Unfortunately, I look behind me at the wrong time, and Russell's got a really good run. He's going to pull this time to the outside now of the right hander. Will he pull this through? Great camera shot here, so we swing through, and there goes Russell. He's actually committed to this. We're going to try our best to defend this down the inside, get our nose in there, but as we come through to the apex, Russell just with a bit of a clout on the front left there, and we're pushed down to P5. So Russell getting a bit aggressive and gets the elbows out and gets the move done. And so that's us actually behind him then for the remainder of this stint, essentially, until he pits in on lap number 13. We're running P1 in 2 actually for a few laps there, so it's quite nice actually for the first time having a 1-2 for Ferrari there, but of course a bit of a novelty one, because of course everyone else had just made their first pit stop. We're yet to. Russell just has, but I will actually continue on now for a few more laps, because we're on lap 14. I slowly realised, really, kind of like last season, I think we did the same sort of thing, that if I can go long enough, like just maybe 3 more laps, I know the car doesn't look too stable there through turn 1 as the oversteer kicks in again, but if we can just go a little bit longer, we could pit on to the soft tyres, and then we'll be in really good stead, because we'll be on a very aggressive last stint on lower fuel, and we can gain back the positions in time we maybe lose having these worn tyres on. So we go to lap 17 then, which means we have 10 laps to go in this GP. So the GP's flown by quite quickly, really, after Russell made that move, and we just kind of hold station in 1 and 2. We're now in for that first pit stop, the one and only pit stop, really, and we're going to be onto a set of red wool soft tyres, and basically now we just it's time to kind of borrow Hamilton's engineers phase. It really is just hammer time. We just need to go as fast as we can and just use this fresher rubber, the more grippy rubber, compared to everyone else who's on hard tyres, I believe, because most people are doing a one stop from soft to hards, or even medium to hards. There's only like 2 cars on the grid which did a 2-stop, and one of them is Lando Norris on the McLaren, but of course he's one of the top cars here, so I wouldn't imagine we're going to really be racing him. But we come out then behind George Russell. There is Lando Norris there, so Norris is actually only just ahead of us, but he's on that 2-stop there, so both me and him were hoping to kind of cut through the traffic ahead of us. So for me, that's going to mean George Russell straight away. So, you know, we sat behind him and was a little bit patient in that first stint, because I didn't really want to hamper both our races. I want us to both do well, so I didn't fight him too much for that reason in stint 1, so that's why I was still in second place by the time he came in for the pit stop. But now, you know, it's the last part of the race. Now there's not the time to do that. Now's the time to pounce, because I've definitely got the better tyres. I'm on the faster strategy now, and so we're going to try and overtake him and just pull away, hopefully, there. I've done my best as a teammate, basically, to make sure I didn't hold him up too much in the first part of this race, but now it's time to focus on myself and be a little bit selfish. So here we go now, hot lap mode. You can see instantly just the grip level there alone from the soft to the hard tyres, so much. And so overtake mode, rich mix there, down the inside. It's going to be an easy pass there. Little bit of contact, to be fair, because Russell did turn in on me, but we make the move stick. Easy done. And ahead of us, though, there's a massive scrap going on between Ricciardo and Gasly in the Racing Point and Mercedes, respectively. They're side by side for this entire bit of Sector 3 there. Great bit of battling, but look how much time they're losing now to Lando Norris and myself. The McLaren closing up so rapidly now, as they're still neck and neck into the last corner. Gasly with a great dive bomb down the inside to keep his nose ahead of the Mercedes car, and now Ricciardo has to accept the position down behind the Racing Point car. But here comes Lando Norris then in the McLaren, really aggressive pull to right hand side with the medium tyres on. The McLaren round the outside he goes into turn 1, the inside for the second turn, and gets the move done. And that'll be Norris up into P3 on the exit. Norris, Ricciardo gives him a good fight, but Norris is going to hold that through, and so he's up into P3, P2 Gasly, and if you're wondering, P1 right now is actually Sergio Perez over there, miles ahead now by a decent few seconds there, so he's dominating this GP right now. And here we are then, closing up behind Daniel Ricciardo. So can we get P4 here? This would be a really lofty position, to be fair, from both of us. Right now, we start P11, P13. I'm going to potentially make a move for P5 if it was not going to be for this safety car. We were just about to make the move for P4 there on Ricciardo. I was going to say it's going to be a brilliant P4 and P6 situation right now for Ferrari, but now the full course safety car has been called out here, and that could be a great thing or a bad thing for the team. It could be a great thing for me, but maybe a bad thing for the team, because remember, Russell's on hard tyres, so everyone's going to close up, so he might get overtaken at the restart and might be swallowed up in the last kind of 6 laps of this GP. Though, this is good news for me, to be fair, because although I was about to make the move on Ricciardo, you've got to think about it. I'm going to save tyre wear now under this safety car. Everyone ahead of me is on hards, apart from Norris, which are on soft tyres, but I don't imagine we're really going to be racing Lando Norris. So I think we have a good chance of overtaking at least Ricciardo and Gasly, maybe, and then we'll have to see what the kind of tyre wear is like for Sergio Perez, maybe on his set of hard tyres. But this safety car could work in our favour quite a fair bit. Maybe not Russell, but for me, this is looking good here. So I'll take this, actually. Going to save fuel, save ERS, because we were quite critical on fuel there. Because I used a lot of rich mix in that last stint, and also the start of that second stint. And so we're going to try and size up a move on Ricciardo if we can, very early on this restart. As we've now moved on to lap 21, you can see trying to get some heat desperately into these tyres, because the rear tyres need to be in a good temperature for me to get a good enough exit here on the last corner, because Russell, surely with the hards versus softs, I will have an advantage. We've already run into the back of him nearly through into the apex there, and then on the exit, despite having a bit of an issue on the curb on the entry, we get a good enough exit here, already making a move here with overtake mode. It's a bit of a drag race. The Mercedes is pretty decent in a straight line, it would seem like, but under braking, surely we have the grip to go right around the outside then to the inside for the second corner and get the job done up into P4. And now straight away I have only eyes for the next car along, which is Pierre Gasly now, and up ahead of him you can see the two McLarens very close together. I think that's Norris hustling and harrying Sergio Perez in second place for first, so I think Norris will probably have a slam dunk overtake done on his teammate for the first place in the GP. Can we get P3 and then potentially, I don't know, move on to maybe catch Perez? Depends on how worn his tyres are, but first and foremost have to get the move done on our former championship rival from last season, Gasly in the Racing Point car. We're gaining, no DRS, just pure slipstream and overtake mode there, around the outside, late on the brakes there, confidence, supreme confidence there on the braking, and we're up into P3 of the French GP. This has been a fantastic turnaround. I believe Russell's still there in P6 as well, so it's a great day for the entire team, really, being in a decent points haul here. And can we make it even better as we're now on to lap 24 and we're catching to Perez. We've got DRS now available in this Grand Prix after 2 laps, obviously after the safety car. We're gaining, but just not enough quite on this lap. Then we get caught on the curb a little, so we go a little bit wide with some understeer, but give it maybe a lap or 2, I think we should be able to get Perez. Norris probably not so, because like I said, he's on medium, so it's not a bad race tyre, to be fair. And also he did pit, he did a 2-stop, so his tyres are also not that worn. But Perez, surely we're going to get him here. It's a good enough exit. We're a little bit closer now than we were on the previous lap. So lap 25, will this be it? We're gaining, overtake mode. Where we're going to go, Perez is going to park it to the inside. We're going to go to the outside then, and we are just going to waltz on through. That was actually a pretty tidy and easy overtake. Actually, I thought he was going to fight a little bit hard in the brake zone, but really his tyres must be that worn. I mean, he's been on hard tyres since, I think, lap 5 or 6, remember, because the first round of pit stops was around that lap. So I think he's been on those tyres for about 20 laps now. To be fair, he does come back at me a little bit, so maybe he was saving some fuel, because he does hamper me a little bit in the mirrors on the last lap. But Norris just pulled away so much. Fast lap the Grand Prix, no surprise on the mediums with an aggressive 2-stop there. So fair play to our fellow Brit for winning the French GP. But it's a fantastic, you've got to say, P2 for us at the French GP, and I think Russell still finished up in P6, so an overall fantastic day for Ferrari.
Nice work, you did well today. I think the boss will be happy with that one.
Another race and another win for McLaren. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
That was probably the best we could have hoped for that entire Grand Prix. Then P2, only behind the man who did a 2-stop there, so he was always going to be just as fast as us. Remember, he's got a better car anyway, and he's got fresh tyres, unlike everyone else who was on hard. So that was really the best result from that entire situation. The safety car, again, helped us out a little bit there, so there was a tinge of luck once again in this Grand Prix, but, you know, we were just going to make the most of it, really. But I guess the F1 gods are looking down on me this entire season so far, because we've got a little bit of luck here and there, pretty much every Grand Prix, I feel. But Russell, also, strong result there. Obviously, not as good as me, but he was on the hard tyres, I remember, so I think he did well, because I was really afraid of him just being swallowed up there at the end of the GP, but he pulled it through and held the position there, so he's still in the kind of top half then of the Drivers' Championship, and we sit pretty in P3, only 15 points off the lead there. I think all three of us have only got one race win apiece. I think the only repeat winner so far this season has been Lando Norris, but he's had a few also some iffy results as of late to put him down in P5 then in the championship. Constructors-wise, we're still in P4 because McLaren have been so consistent lately as well that we're just not getting on them. We're just kind of pulling away from the midfield fire there, so we're kind of still trying our best to hang with McLaren, but McLaren are kind of pulling away from us and trying to catch bigger fish in the form of Mercedes and Renault there, so fair play, but you know, I'll still take that very much, and the best is yet to come from our car, because we've still not got to the point where both me and Russell are qualifying high in the top 5 and going for the podium outright on pure pace and merit and the race win, etc. So there's still more to come from this car. So race by race, episode by episode, I get happier and happier with how things are progressing. Things are just looking better and better in terms of the qualifying today, the race pace, the fact that Russell was right up there as well with some clean air, good stuff. 400 extra points on the resource points as well. Try and buy some upgrades, and obviously we have to redo that upgrade, unfortunately, from the engine one, but still really awesome stuff. So good feel at the end of this episode. So we're going to go ahead, like I said, and repurchase that failed engine upgrade for the fuel consumption. And then it was a tricky situation because we didn't actually have enough points to buy 2 more upgrades like I wanted to. We only had enough money for 1. So I went ahead and got the front downforce upgrade on the left-hand side of the tree because that was the cheapest upgrade I could get on the aero side. I did look into then doing maybe a reliability upgrade on the MGUK because that is wearing out quite a fair bit, but I couldn't actually afford it as well. So we're going to have to just stick with those 2 upgrades and maybe look into a reliability upgrade or something else next episode then. So hopefully these 2 come in. I did compliment the aero department in the interview, so hopefully that one comes in. Of course, the engine one is guaranteed to come in because that's a fixing of one that broke at the beginning of this episode. So hopefully those come in, and then we'll look into some more later on. But Austria, Britain coming up. We're going to need some power, but obviously some aero as well, especially for Silverstone. But hopefully the car has enough front downforce there with that upgrade, the minor one, coming in for next episode. So guys, if you did enjoy that fantastic French GP for the entire team, I've been waiting for an episode where both me and Russell perform well. I feel like that really was the max I think we could have hoped for in that GP with Russell being on hard. So great stuff there. If you did enjoy it, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are around here for weekly Fall On content, I've been Aarava. Hope you stay. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.